What's up, Sum Hacker? If you don't know what simultaneous equations are, or you've been struggling your booty off with this, then don't stress, because I'm going to cover a simple example step by step. Your question will say solve for x and y. You are solving for two different variables here. And then what'll happen is they'll give you two different equations. So to kick this off, the first thing that you want to do is you want to look for the simpler equation. And for this particular example, do you see that the top one is actually a lot simpler? Because what we can do here is easily rearrange this so that x is the subject of the formula. You can obviously rearrange it for y. You just need to choose the one that's going to be simpler for you. But for this particular example, it's going to be so much easier to make x the subject of the formula. Let me show you what that looks like. So this equation is then going to become x is equal to 5 minus 3y. So what I've done here is I have made x the subject of this formula. I've kept 5 in exactly the same position, and then I took the 3y over the equal sign where I changed it to a negative. So now I have my first equation. And what I can do is label it. So I like to put 3 little dots and label that 1. Then I'm going to go ahead and label my second equation 2. This is a really important step. Then next, what you want to do is put 1 into 2, and you're actually going to write that. And what that means is for wherever you see an x value in the second equation, you are going to substitute this in here. So your question will then look like 5 minus 3y squared minus 3 times 5 minus 3y plus 10y is equal to 8y squared minus 18. All right, now what we want to do is expand these brackets, and then I'm going to multiply my negative 3 into my bracket with the 5 and with that negative 3 there. So we're going to have 5 minus 3y times 5 minus 3y minus 15, because remember I'm multiplying this into the bracket here, plus 9y, and then I'm going to write the rest of my equation as it is. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take these bad boys over the equal sign and I'm going to change their signs. So I'm going to have plus 10y minus 8y squared plus 18 is equal to 0. Now I'm going to do FOIL with these brackets here. So I'm going to have 25 minus 15y minus 15y plus 9y squared, and then I'm going to write the rest down. Awesome. Now I am going to simplify. So I'm going to first work with my y squared variables. So 9 minus 8 is going to give me 1, so I'll be left with y squared here, and then I'm going to cross them out because I've used them, and then I'm going to look at my y values. So I've got negative 15y here, negative 15y here, positive 9y plus 10y, and that's what I've got. So let's work with that quickly. That will give us minus 11y, and then I'm going to just cancel them out because I have used them. And then all I'm left with is my whole numbers, which is going to give me plus 28 equals to 0. Now I have a trinomial and I can factorize it using two brackets. So I'm going to put my brackets down, equals to 0, so that I don't forget. And now I'm going to get to work factorizing. I know that I'm going to have a y in each bracket. And then I look at the sign of the C value and I see it's positive, which tells me that in the brackets, I have to have two of the same signs, either a positive and a positive or a negative and a negative. But at that point, I'm going to look at my B value sign, and that is a negative, which tells me that I have to have a negative in my bracket in order to actually get to a negative answer here. So now I know that both brackets are going to have a negative and a negative. But then I ask myself, okay, cool. What are the factors of 28? That will then give me negative y. And in this case, it's going to be 7 and 4. And the way you check yourself, you can actually just do it on the side here. And you need to ask yourself, okay, is minus 7 minus 4 going to give me negative 11? And yes, it absolutely does. Just check it on your calculator. And then you ask yourself, is minus 7 times minus 4 going to give me positive 28, and it absolutely does. So now you know that the factors that are currently in your brackets are indeed correct. Always check yourself. It's well worth it. It's not worth losing the marks over something so simple. So now you're simply going to take what is inside your bracket and equal it to 0. So this is what it's going to look like. Y minus 7 equals to 0 and y minus 4 equals to 0. Now I'm going to make y the subject, and I do that by taking this bad boy over the equal sign, but then I have to change the sign associated with that number, and I'm going to do it for both of these variables. So I'm going to have y is equal to 7 or y is equal to 4. And those are then my y values. But I'm not done. It's at this point that I need to substitute these values into my first formula. So you're simply gonna put y values in 1. And then you're going to write your y values down. Y is equal to 7. Y is equal to 4. And then you are going to take your first equation here. You're going to write it down, and then you're going to plug your y into it. So you're going to have x equals to 5 minus 3 times 7. That's going to give you x is equal to negative 16. And then on the other side, you're going to have x is equal to 5 minus 3 times 4, and that, if you plug it into your calculator, is going to give you negative 7. And those then are your answers. It's very important with simultaneous equations that you have 4 answers. You need to have 2 y values and 2 x values. Then you know that you have indeed done this correctly. Okay, cool beans. You've just done your very first simultaneous equation. Well friggin' done. Now, let's go deeper by practicing another example to make sure that you have got a better hang of this topic. I'll check you there in just a bit.